In this video you will learn how to make 8 recipes of homemade plant-based milks for drinking or using in recipes, each of them using only 2 ingredients. In addition to being healthier, these milks are cheaper than those bought ready-made. In this video, I will teach you how to make 8 versions of plant-based milks that are suitable for lactose intolerance vegans. You will be able to consume these milks pure with coffee and even use them in recipes. I will teach you how to prepare each of them, how to freeze and thaw them, and also give tips in case you want to make them thicker or thinner. I will introduce you to coconut milk, oat milk, rice milk, cashew milk, almond milk, peanut milk, sunflower seed milk, and pumpkin seed milk. But the principle used to prepare these milks is the same in case you want to use another base, such as melon seed, for example. The suggested quantities to make these milks are all in the video description. In my opinion, it's worth testing each of them and seeing which one is your favorite, as they have different flavors and different amounts of fat. For example, cashew or coconut milk are richer in fats and others are richer in starch, such as oat or rice milk, which brings different results when drinking and also when making recipes. Speaking of which, if you want to learn hundreds of recipes without using animal-based milks, I have a very comprehensive course and it's completely online. There are recipes for Brigadeiro cakes, ice creams. I invite you to check out my course by clicking on the link in the video description. Before we begin, pay close attention to these tips I'm about to give you, as they apply to all flavors. And the first tip is to soak your base ingredient in water. This process will soften the seeds and grains and also remove the phytates present in this base. To soak, you will cover with water. There is no exact amount, just enough to cover and leave about an inch of water above. I suggest soaking overnight in the refrigerator or for 8 hours. If you're in a hurry, you can cook in water and then discard that water. Whenever you prepare the milk, the soaking water will be discarded. We don't use this water to blend the milk. You will use fresh filtered water. Another tip I give is not to add all the water at once. It's better to add half of the water first. This way you will get a slightly thicker texture. Then you add the remaining water. If you want it thicker, you can use the amount in the recipe or even reduce the amount of water. If you want it thinner, you can add more water. Some of the milks will not need straining after blending. These are easier. I'll start by teaching you how to make peanut milk. You can use roasted peanuts, unsalted and without skin, or you can use peanut butter or peanut cream. When buying your peanut cream, check the ingredients and make sure it's pure, with no added sugar or other types of fat mixed in. I prefer to use one that is just pure ground peanuts, as it's already ground. It will be much easier for us to make the milk. Just blend the pure peanut cream with water. So, put it in the blender with half the amount of water, blend for about a minute, then add the remaining water. Since this cream is already well ground, I don't need to strain it. If you're using whole peanuts, you soak them, and after making the milk, you strain it, as we'll show you in the next milks. If you like peanuts, you'll love the flavor of this milk. For me, it goes really well with coffee, and you can make a peanut butter cup cappuccino. The second milk is cashew milk, and this one also doesn't need straining. After soaking, you drain and discard that water. Now add the soaked cashews to the blender with half the water, blend for about 1 or 2 minutes, then we can add the remaining water. No need to strain because the cashew is much softer and has little fiber. It becomes very creamy, has a very neutral flavor, a very neutral color too, and this is one of my favorites to use in recipes. Now almond milk needs straining because the almond is firmer, has the skin too, has more fiber. So it will leave a more rustic aspect. That's why straining is nice. So, also after soaking, we'll discard that water. Put the almonds in the blender with half the amount of water that the recipe calls for, blend for about 3 minutes. I like to let it blend for longer to extract more milk, then dilute it with the remaining water and blend a little more. Now to strain the milk, I use this cloth bag. It's like a voile bag. It's perfect for making milk. There's a link in the description if you want to buy one of these bags. But if you don't have one, you can use a very fine sieve or a very clean dishcloth. Put the milk in this bag and close it carefully so it doesn't spill over. And now we're going to squeeze to extract all this liquid. What's left in the bag after squeezing is the milk residue. It doesn't taste like anything because the flavor is in the milk itself. So, here's practically just the fiber. I don't recommend drying it in the oven and using it as almond flour, for example, because it doesn't have the same composition. But of course, you can use it for other recipes. Comment below if you want to learn more recipes using milk residue. This almond milk is very neutral in flavor and color, has no fats, and is one of my students' favorites for drinking pure. Oat milk has become more common in recent years, precisely because it's also neutral and cheaper to make. But pay attention, if you have any type of gluten intolerance or if you are celiac, Check the label to see if it's gluten-free. Soak it too, and then drain that water. In this water, we also removed excess starch to make the milk a little less sticky. And do the same process of blending with the water separated into 2 parts. Then strain it in the cloth bag to remove the fiber. And you'll notice that even though we removed this excess starch in the soak, it will still be a bit sticky or gelatinous, this milk. This is due to the oat's own natural starch. In fact, this oat milk is very good for making sauces that need to thicken when cooking, as this starch will thicken and firm up, like a porridge, when you cook it. That's why I don't recommend it as much for drinking pure with hot milk, for example, when you want to have it with coffee, as it will thicken when you heat it. But it's great in a hot chocolate, for example, to make it very creamy. The 5th milk is coconut milk. It's already widely used in traditional confectionery and even in hot cuisine. Making this milk at home is more natural and tastier. You'll need dried coconut without shell. I bought this one already chopped, but see that it has this darker skin? In my opinion, it tastes better when we peel off the skin and make the milk only with the white part, because it's a little less bitter. But this part is optional. And now there's a trick here for this coconut milk. When blending in the blender, use hot water, because this way we will melt and dilute these oils naturally present in the coconut in this water, extracting our milk better. After blending well, we'll put it in the cloth bag and strain this residue that remains. It looks like grated coconut, but it doesn't taste like anything. That's why I don't recommend using it in a recipe, for example, to make a coconut candy or a coconut sweet, as it won't taste like much coconut. But I have a recipe here on the channel for cookies made with coconut residue, which is very tasty because we add chocolate to the dough. If you want to watch this video, click here above. The 6th milk is sunflower seed milk. And you do the same process. Soak it, then discard that water, transfer the seeds to the blender and add half the water. Let it blend for about 3 minutes and then add the remaining water and blend a little more. Strain it with the cloth bag in the same way, and you'll have this milk that has a slightly stronger flavor than others. Now this residue left, it's a little more pasty. I think it must have a very good texture to make, for example, a vegetable cheese like ricotta. To make it with pumpkin seed, you do the same process. It's worth noting that both the pumpkin seed and the sunflower seed must be without shell. After soaking, transfer the seeds along with half the water, blend for 3 minutes, then add the remaining water and blend a little more. Strain it just like we did with the others, and this milk turned out to be more greenish. I thought it looked very nice. I like the taste a lot too. I like the sensation in the mouth, because it seems like you're drinking cow's milk because of the amount of fat present in the seed. Now to make rice milk, the soaking will be different. We're going to put the raw white rice in the bowl, and when soaking, I'll use boiling water, so I'll already be softening the grains a little, but it doesn't need to cook. For example, when making the milk. After these 8 hours of soaking, discard the water, put the rice in the blender with the recipe water in 2 stages and also strain it with a cloth bag. This milk turned out very clear, and since rice has no fat in its composition, it's the least caloric of all. I don't like its flavor so much to drink it pure, for example, but it's a great option for you to use in recipes, and it's also the cheapest of all. Now that you've learned how to make 8 different types of plant-based milks, you can use your favorites to make some drinks like this hot chocolate, caramel latte, mate, and also the peanut butter cup cappuccino that I mentioned earlier in this class. If you want to learn how to make all these drink recipes, I released a free ebook to download. Just click on the link in the description of this video. As you can see, all milks are made from a base ingredient and water only. So, when making a milk that you will drink pure, choose one of the flavors that you already like the taste of the base ingredient. Some of them are very neutral and others have a characteristic flavor, but you can use all of them to make recipes. Or if you want to have it with cocoa powder, for example, cocoa will be the predominant flavor, not the milk. You will keep all of them in a pitcher or bottle in the refrigerator for up to 3 days. After about 2 hours in the refrigerator, some of them may start to separate the liquid part from the rest of the milk, but that's completely normal. When using the milk, just shake the bottle or stir it with a spoon to bring it back together. A tip for freezing is to put it in an ice cube tray, so you'll have smaller portions of milk to use only the amount you want. If you want to freeze in a bottle, I suggest you don't fill it completely and that it be plastic, because when it freezes, it will expand. You can use milk ice cubes to make a smoothie or another cold drink. Or you can thaw the cubes or the milk in the bottle. But after thawing, it will also separate. Then you just shake or blend it again to return the milk to normal. After thawing, this milk has a shelf life of 24 hours in the refrigerator. And if you want to sweeten or make this milk a little more palatable, my suggestion is to add a little sugar, sweetener, or dates, which is what I'm using here, and a pinch of salt to enhance the flavor. Since I used dates here to sweeten, it got a little darker, and I also strained it afterward to remove the excess fiber from the date. All these milks can be heated for you to consume with coffee, for example. The only one that changes texture quite a bit is oat milk, as I mentioned before. If this video helped you, don't forget to leave a like. Take the opportunity to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of the upcoming videos and comment below what your favorite plant-based milk is.